Uh-oh. Is that all right?
Yeah, everybody's fine. Luckily, it bounced straight past that C-47.
Go on then. Kick it. Hit it. Whenever you're ready.
Hello and welcome back. I am James Skiffins.
And I am Malcolm Childs, and we are just making conversation,
where we discuss the ups and downs of the model making hobby that brings us such joy and utter despair in equal measures.
From flat white to rubber black and everything in between, we're going to be just making conversation. Remember, there are other podcasts that you can listen to.
Plastic Model Mojo.
Scale Model Podcast.
Plastic Posse Podcast.
On the Bench.
Model Geeks.
Sprue Cutters Union.
Small Subjects.
Built Sideways.
Model by Girl Poden.
And the Micro Machines Podcast. Just head to http://www.modelpodcasts.com for all the links.
If you've enjoyed or even misclicked on this podcast, consider leaving a review of 5 stars as it promotes this podcast to more people to enjoy.
Showing your support to us is as easy as making a coffee. So why not go over to buymeacoffee.com/JMC podcast and do just that, because your support will help go towards making this podcast and its content fit for human consumption. Like a food rating. You know, when you go to a restaurant, they have a cleanliness rating or something?
They do, yeah.
Is it like A to F or something?
No, it's 1 to 5 stars.
Fit for human consumption would be 1 star.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Maybe half a star.
Half a star. In this episode, we'll be just making conversation with Ian Douthwaite, known as the Rally Chef, about his work with cars and trucks and his award-winning Walnut build.
What lengths do you need to go to if you want to build a model of a vehicle, but the model doesn't exist? What if there is no aftermarket resin parts for it? Maybe what you need is a model shop, or just maybe it's a pet shop.
Intriguing. Ian is a friend of both of ours and has put up with our nonsense for some years. So we're thrilled when he got to spend more time with him on this podcast. Right, we got comments.
Mm-hmm. We got messages and emails and all sorts.
We've been away for a little while, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Sorry. Life got in the way again.
Yeah, it does. It gets in the way. You were busy, I busy, and you got ill, and then you got ill again. You were triple busy, and then I wasn't busy at all, and then you were busy again. And
these things happen. But thank you for bearing with us. But we're here, we're back. We're back on form.
Well, they say they're bearing with us, but there's no choice, have they?
Yeah, in all honesty, they didn't. But it's nice that we had a lot of messages from people saying, don't worry.
Yeah, that's true. We did.
Thank you for that. We love you all. Kisses.
From Facebook, then. From Robert Worth. Time to hit podcasts on a long train journey to Oxford. I'm now on my way home. I hope today's trains are nowhere near as bad as yesterday's, but the two of you are smoothly crooning in my ears.
Crooning. I'm going to look that up.
Question. Have you done an episode looking at making YouTube videos? I have done 2 very short ones that are just snippets of end of session build position. May do one about painting my Hetzer and risk voiceover.
Do it. There can never be enough YouTube videos.
No.
No, we haven't actually done any discussion on YouTube videos or the making of or why you would do it or how you do it. We haven't done any of that.
No. Let's put that on the list because I know you have. You've dabbled with thousands of subscribers now, so... Yeah, let's do that, and then we can interview you.
Yes, I'll put myself in the hot seat, and I'll probably be able to give you just as much information as you already know now, but I'm happy to do it, not a problem.
We'll eke out some sort of content from it.
We may even find a professional and get some advice as to what I'm doing wrong. We also had a message on Facebook from Adam Jackson. He said, thank you for all you do, bringing... my eyesight's not that great. Let me start that again.
Hang on, let me just make it bigger for you. Hang on. I just made it bigger for myself by zooming in. Stupid. I'm so stupid.
So Adam Jackson has also sent us a message on Facebook. He says, thank you for all you do in bringing us tarp-covered nuts. Now, that gives me a really good idea for our upcoming tarp build.
Which we need to talk about a bit.
We will do, actually, yeah. The next Facebook post, Yo Av was kindly enough to send us a Facebook message. He said, thank you for your efforts to bring us enjoyable podcasts on a regular basis. Interesting name. Tell us where you're from, because I'm intrigued. I have a sneaky feeling I know, but just drop us a note and tell us, because that'd be cool.
Malaysia, do you think?
It might be one of our many Israel listeners.
Oh, it could be, yeah. Well, it's a Hebrew name.
Sure. I think so, yeah. I was going to say, have you put the kettle on?
If I put the kettle on?
Yeah, have you put the kettle on? Because it's time to talk about Buy Me a Coffee and who sent us a message.
No. I put the kettle on. We're not going to go down that road again. Mark Sanderson sent us some coffees. Thank you very much. He says, great show. Always makes me smile. Keep up the brilliant work. Smiley face.
Ah, bless you. Mark Shelley was up next. Did he buy us coffee or was it a message?
He bought us coffees so that he could send a message.
He bought us coffees as well.
It softened us up.
Ah, he bribed us. Right, okay. Thank you very much. He said, I recently had a conversation with Mike, who, like me, is one of your supporters. And we were both wondering why my name is regularly announced in the credits while his is not. Please rectify the situation at your earliest convenience. If you like, that is. It's your show after all. Why is that, Malcolm? What did we discover?
Why is that? Well, it's interesting because you just read out his name, Mike, who hasn't given us permission to use his name, which is Mike. However, we don't put names in. So if they just use their email addresses, then we just put 8 others at the end and we add an extra other. But because he didn't use his name, Mike, we can't use his name.
Well, we'll have to miss Mike's name out this episode then, until he gives us permission.
I have to put an extra couple of 50p's in the delete machine. It's going to be a swear word now. So every time I say it'll be bleeped out. So no one's going to know who he is.
It's a really good example of why we do say in every podcast, if you do take the time and trouble to give us a coffee or write us a message, tell us who you are so we can use your name and give you a shout out. But if you don't use your name or give permission to us to use name, then we try to be kind and not use your name. That's even more reason, guys. Get out there. Coffee, cappuccino with one, and a chai latte for Malcolm. He's into his chai lattes at the moment.
Chai latte? No, I haven't. I don't know. I thought chai was tea.
Chai? Have you not had a chai? Of course you had a chai latte. You know what that is.
So tea with milk? Yeah.
Well, I do with frothy milk, right? You make your cup of tea before you pour the milk in, because you always pour the milk in after you've made the tea, right? You don't do it at the beginning.
No, I'm not a peasant. Sounds horrible.
No, because it's frothy.
Fine. That doesn't sound good for me. It just looked like someone spat in it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Blackadder scene with the dandruff as well.
That's the one, yeah. Gone off on a tangent.
A little bit. Johan Jakobsen Frentzen, he bought us some coffees. He says, when I discovered your podcast, you were already on season 2. It took me a while to catch up, but now I've finally done it. Wow. Gosh, you should get a medal.
Well done, you.
Like conquering Everest. Endurance.
Sherpas everywhere.
I love what you do, and I can't wait to see what you'll be doing next. I'm mainly a railway modeller. Shit. Hello.
It does say gasp in his message, in fairness.
Yes, but I'm a firm believer in the importance of cross-pollination between hobbies, and I've gained a lot of inspiration and new ideas from you. Keep up the excellent work. Wow, blimey. Fantastic. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Thanks for giving some coffees and that nice little comment. That's lovely. That spurs us on.
Interesting to know which episode it was that the inspiration and new ideas come from. I didn't realise we were that good.
Well, maybe he hasn't listened to other podcasts before. I think this is it.
No others like us.
Yes, thank God. Anyway. Want to send us a comment or whatever? Chuck us on Facebook. And you can email us as well.
Yes.
Podcast.jmc@gmail.com. And now I've said that, people are going to send us emails, aren't they?
And it's a good thing because our secretary sat there waiting. Best way to describe our secretary, it's a little bit like the secretary in Ghostbusters. Sat there reading a book, chewing gum, because there's not a lot going on.
Was it Janine, her name?
Oh, I can't remember what the name was.
Janice? I find you very fascinating.
Oh, dear. I didn't realise you were so easy to trigger. Anyway.
I collect spores, molds, and fungus. You remember that? She was like enamoured with Egon's hobbies. Even he had hobbies. He was quite happy to talk about his spores, molds, and fungus.
Yeah.
We should do an episode on spores, molds, and fungus.
We'll put that. I'll put that on the list.
Yeah, okay. So, shall we talk about why you've been so busy in the last 3 to 4 weeks?
Yes, we should do that because it would be rude not to be honest.
Wouldn't it just? So, we heard of a build coming along from a place called RAF Welford up on a Facebook page that we both agreed to help out.
We did.
I put my hand up and said, yeah, I'll build a plane for your little display, not a problem at all. And it's a D-Day build. The C-47s towing the Horsa and Waco gliders. Knowing my limitations and being in control of my own functions, I just said that I could only build the one aircraft and didn't have the time or the space or the mental capacity to build any more than just the one. Yeah, I think that was a sensible option. Don't you think?
I went for the sensible option of suggesting that I could happily do a C-47 and a Horsa glider. Because I thought that was within my limitations of time, capabilities, and interest. Is the honest truth? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Then what happened?
I got a phone call. I got a phone call and said, "We need more modelers." And I said, "Oh, have you got many more to do?" No. He said, "There's only a few." And I was like, "Oh, do you know what? Just stick them in a box and send them to me. I'll do them for you." Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And, how many kits have you ended up having to do?
Captain Sprue to the rescue. Literally. If you can imagine where that quote is sort of aiming at with the cape and the funny mask and a fat, bald-headed bloke, that was me running to the postman.
Captain Chaos.
Yes, running to the postman and going, dun, 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 is that for me? And going, oh, Jesus. When I opened the box, I suddenly realised that I'd committed myself just to a mere 3 Horsa gliders, 1 C-47 and 2 Waco gliders.
Good Lord. So the 6 aeroplanes, and that's why you have been busy.
Yeah, so just to clarify, 6 aircraft, I can hear our listeners saying, easy. Well, yes, only down to the fact that we have to have them built and on a display for their 6th of June anniversary at the airfield. And we're recording this right now on the 24th of May. And yes, I am almost at the finishing line. And my wife has expressed her admiration to me of how wonderful I am sitting making models for two and a bit weeks and not helping in any way, shape or form around the house.
Oh,
well, I'd actually would have recorded it for you, but it would have just been bleeps basically, so there was no point.
Oh, I can imagine the understanding.
Oh, there was. There's so much understanding that even I couldn't understand how much understanding there was, and that's easy for me to explain.
Well, yeah. So I built a C-47. You built a C-47 plus extras. There are other people here and there that are also building C-47s, and they're all going to be shown at RAF Welford in the coming months for some time. So, yeah, that'd be cool. Can't wait to see them all together. I think we're going to go down there for a jolly when they open it all up and have a look. So I'll put some pictures up if I remember.
Yes, yeah.
So that's where you've been.
I'm looking forward to it, and the small, very small, minor part to all of this build, of course, is that the request was made for them to be particularly detailed in their squadrons, etc. So they all are aircraft that have flown from said airfield on the 6th of June. in that operation that's vaguely familiar to most of us, I guess. So yeah, that's been quite challenging. And if I'm honest, I don't actually do that sort of thing. So that's been a bit of a challenge for me because I like to do a representation. I don't really like to get too technical. But it's involved quite a bit of research. Not that I overly needed to, but I have done a bit of research. And the massively amazing thing about that is that literally yesterday, so it's Wednesday today, Tuesday, in my research, I found a Horsa glider with a tarp. So that's up on the Great Tarp Build page.
Do you know, I can picture your face. I can imagine your heart started to race as you right-clicked, saved as, stuck it on your desktop and got ready to post it to the Great Tarp Build.
I not only did all of the above, but I also am halfway through doing a tarp on one of the horses that will go out to the museum.
Hey?
One of the horses will have a tarp across the front as per the picture.
Oh my gosh. Just because, you've got nothing better to do.
There will be a tarp forever in history at the Airfield Museum, which I am just over the moon at.
I did not know that. That's amazing. I don't know how you blooming have the time to do all these things. I really don't.
While I was wiping the tears away from all the stress, I was using a material that was suitable to then be shaped into a tarp. So it was like an easy thing to do, really.
So the tears that were streaming from your face and the sweat pouring off you has literally been used in the production of the tarp.
There's no blood involved, but there are tears and sweat.
Good Lord. Well, there you go. That's dedication for you. Talking of tarps then.
Well, yeah, we were, weren't we?
Mm-hmm. Talking of tarps, we're going to be chatting to Chris McGee from the IPMS Farnborough group. We'll probably do that in a couple of weeks for the next podcast, I think. And we're going to be talking to them about their involvement in the Great Tarp Build and how they're going to be displaying a table just for the tarps, because Farnborough, the group, is going to get involved as well. So there's going to be plenty of space for your tarp builds to come along to Telford and stick them on the table. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks probably. But if you want to get involved, go to the Great Tarp Build on Facebook.
Yes.
Speaking of tarps, then, my tarp build, which is I'm doing the original tarp from Duxford, which is the big thing with the big crane on the back.
Yes, that one.
Avro was? Oh gosh, I wish I could remember. I should write it down. But I should write it underneath, shouldn't I? I would know. But I have 3 of them printed for me by my good friend Malcolm. I just need to cover them in a tarp. So I'm not too worried about the detail and stuff, but obviously the silhouette is correct. I need to wrap a tarp around it, get some eyelets on there, wrap it up and make sure it looks like the picture that I took when we were at Duxford. Put some grass around it in the same kind of long, dry, grassy way that Duxford has. And present that on a little stand. It doesn't really matter what it kind of looks like underneath, as long as the silhouette is right and the tarp falls correctly. So I'm going to be doing that soon. There's no rush because obviously we don't have till November, and I've got other things to do in the meantime.
Yes, there's a few things.
So yeah, lots of tarps going on. I've been seeing lots of tarps being built and tarped, covered.
There's a lot of debate about tarps going on in the community, and it's good to see the love for the subject. But also, I have to say there is a little bit of tarp hatage going on as well, but I understand that not everyone can be a lover of tarps. Now, I said this last year when I did the Walnut build and said I had a couple of ideas and stuff, but I have seriously got 4 ideas for tarps this year, and I think I will be tarping my way through the coming months, but that won't interfere with any schedules of any other things that need to be done.
Well, I look forward to it. Well, you say that you didn't do any Walnut builds, but you certainly did make you made the Walnut Award.
Well, not just the one and only, the Golden Nut. Yes,
there you go. So you did do something.
Just to confirm that there will be a tarp award, obviously, for the best build, and I won't let it slide yet, but we do have a big name for the head judge.
Have you confirmed that? You haven't, have you?
Not at all.
Right.
But he will do it because I grabbed the spare tarp that I've got and duffle him into the van and
Threat of violence is usually quite a good precursor to somebody doing something for you.
oh well, yeah, it seemed to work most times, so you know. So Malcolm and I are out and about looking around for tarps because you know that's the thing that needs to happen. But we've come across this shed and we're going to have a look and see what's inside. Hello, Ian. How the devil are you?
Not so bad, not so bad. Let me just get out from under this tarp and see what we can do.
Why have you got a shed full of tarps? This is outrageous.
Future project, perhaps.
Oh, I say. We'll come to that at some point, no doubt. Why don't you explain to our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do, and why you think we dragged you out of your shed and from underneath that tarp.
Okay, well, my name's Ian Douthwaite. I live on the northern end of the Lake District. I'm commonly known as a rally chef on the forums and in the days before Facebook kicked off. That goes back to my old trade. I worked in the hospitality industry most of my working life and spent a lot of time doing hospitality catering for a lot of rally teams. Unlike most people, I didn't really start modelling as a youngster. I dabbled in my early 20s. I bought a Williams Honda Formula One car when I was working away from home as something to do, and did the classic brush painting and slapped the decals on and made a half decent stick of it. And then I did a couple of rally cars and then drifted away from it again. And it's only the past 10 years or so that I've started modelling seriously. And in the past 5 years, the truck modelling sort of accidentally fell into it.
And when you say taking modelling seriously, we are talking about your truck building where you buy a tractor unit and then use about 5% of the kit and build the rest yourself.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not a commission builder in the true sense of the word. I build for friends and family, and I build for one particular firm that my brother-in-law works for, which is A.W. Jenkinson up here in Cumbria. My brother-in-law was the first driver this company took on when they had one truck on the road in 1984. They now have over 700 vehicles on the road, and he's still with the firm today, so it's grown quite dramatically. And there's probably a dozen or so of my models in various boardrooms and reception areas around the company, around the country. Built the original truck that they had, which was a Scania 112, for my brother-in-law as a Christmas present. His boss saw it and wanted one, and then it kind of snowballed from there. So we are actually replicating a truck. So we start off with an Ital area kit, the nearest one we can get to that. But the problem is that Ital area kits are European, so the steering wheel's on the wrong side, the window wipers work the wrong way. They're predominantly 4x2 vehicles, whereas the UK ones are 6x2 vehicles, i.e. they have two axles on the back. So that means that everything has to be adapted from the base kit. Probably use 50% of the kit, 30% of aftermarket resin, and 20% of actual scratch building with the tractor unit itself. The trailers are a whole different kettle of fish. They have to be scratch built. And over the years, I've built tub tipper trailers, a livestock trailer, and log handling trucks. So that's where we've been with them, really. They are predominantly a wood, pulp, and sawmill residue company. That's what they transport.
One of the builds that I remember you doing that caught my eye and blazoned Ian Douthwaite on my memory was the log handling truck that you built, where you couldn't find the right type of scale logs. So you went down to your local pet shop and bought some hamster chews or chinchillas or something that looked about the right sort of size, which I imagine you've probably got a drawer full of.
Chinchilla sticks.
Oh, they are chinchilla sticks. Oh, wow.
Yeah, medium willow sticks. That was one load. I had quite a bigger load of logs, quite thick logs that were used for. These are the logs that are used more for planks and wood and such like. Because this firm also processes wood, and I have a friend in the village who's a walking stick maker. Offcuts from his walking sticks that we had as the load for those. They are much more robust than the smaller twigs that we were using there.
Absolute genius. It's a typical thing, isn't it? As modelers, we're walking around with our eyes down and eyes up, trying to find things that perhaps we could use on our models. And when you come across that sort of thing, it's quite fun. If someone finds some moss or something, they can go, "Oh, make it a bush." Or to find chinchilla sticks can be 1/24 scale logs. I think it's brilliant. I love it. You talked about the conversions that you do. Are there existing resin kits that you can do to convert one type of kit into another?
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of aftermarket companies around. There's two in the UK mainly that we use that do right-hand drive conversions, so that we can convert the Italeri kits. A lot of the time, it may well just be that you're using plastic card or plastic strips to extend chassis rails to put extra axles onto the vehicle. A lot of the full resin kits are European companies, which has its own problems. I'm not going to get political, but Brexit's meant that a lot of it becomes quite expensive because the kits are expensive to buy. So they're over the £150, I think, limit. So we have to pay import tax and everything on that as well, which makes them a lot more expensive to buy.
Yeah. So do you enjoy doing the scratch building then, or is it something that you loathe doing?
I enjoy doing the scratch building. It's a bit of a challenge, but I also enjoy the work involved before that. So all the research, I'm very lucky that I've got access to the vehicles themselves, so I can take quite good photographs and very good reference photographs. Also, because this firm has such a large purchasing power, I don't have any problems getting access to actual drawings of the vehicles themselves, the technical drawings. So that allows me to get technical drawings of trailers and such like.
Oh, wow, that's great. That was really helpful. The worst thing you can do in scratch building, as you've said, is just kind of have to guess. So that's really helpful, having the plans.
Have the firms that make the trailers approached you and said, well, could you make us a model trailer?
I probably get a couple of approaches a month with regards to commission building, but it's not really what I want to do. I'm a plodder when I come to build. I don't want to be working to deadlines. That would just kill my mojo altogether. I've only ever built to one deadline, and that was Alan Jenkinson, the guy that owns AWJ, had a significant birthday, and they wanted a particular truck for his as a birthday present. And that's the only time I've really built to a deadline.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Modelling and deadlines are not something that go together.
Well, I've got the ideal situation with Jenkinson's because they pay for the models. I don't charge them to build them, but I can build models that I couldn't possibly afford to build myself. I mean, by the time you get all the aftermarket resin and scratch building materials you need for a trailer and buy a showcase, you're not going to get much change out of £800 odd. I get to build these wonderful kits. I live in a small bungalow. I could not possibly display a dozen of these things because they're about a metre long when we're finished. But I get to borrow them back when I want to go to a show. So it's an ideal situation, really.
That's great. Do you do anything else other than cars and trucks and commercial vehicles? Have you got any other interest in anything else?
My son's trying to drag me kicking and screaming into Warhammer. But it's a precipice that I'm standing on the edge of. I've got 2 or 3 little bits. He keeps buying me presents, but I haven't committed fully to that yet.
Do we need to just give you a little tiny nudge over the edge then?
No, I think I've got a couple of military vehicles here, but they are truck-based as well. There's a tank transporter and a couple of other bits that I'm planning on having to go at.
Okie dokie.
Predominantly vehicles. I've no interest in aeroplanes as such. I did build a space shuttle recently. But again, that was part of the Jenkinson's collection because they used it as an April Fool thing a couple of years back that they got the contract for the wood chip to the Mars farming project. They got their IT guys to mock up a space shuttle in the full AWJ livery. So I reproduced that.
Oh, man.
Brilliant.
Was it all full of mulch in the cargo bay, was it?
Oh, it was just a very small, basic model, but it did the job for what we required.
That's funny. I like that. Right, I'll write that down. Picture of space shuttle for mulching.
I seem to think you do share an interest with Malcolm that Malcolm probably isn't aware of. Ooh. In that you have shown quite an interest in tractors.
Yes, I've got a couple of grey Ferdies here in the stash, which I plan on building, one pristine and one heavily weathered and falling apart. possibly on the small Dio. Somebody else got me into Dios a little while back. No names mentioned.
No.
But I was brought up on a farm, so that's maybe where the tractor thing comes from. A Grey Ferg is what I learned to drive on.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, James just says, I'm notorious for tractors, but I'm trying to think. I've ever built one proper tractor. The rest are bulldozers, so way off there. And now I'm looking around like, oh yeah, well I've got no tractor kits, but I'm actually looking at 3.
You say that, but I know for a fact that if we went to, for example, Duxford and had that moment that we had with tarps, if there had been tractors, I suspect it would have been exactly the same moment where you just stood there and went, "Oh, a tractor!" It's
not the tractor; it's the weathering textures on the metal. That's what I like. So if there was a slab of metal laying out in the field for 3 years, I would be interested in it. The fact that it's on a tractor or on a tarp, people keep buying me tractor kits. So it's not me, honestly. I don't know where it's come from. Anyway, Ian, your weathering then, are you asked to make them sort of showroom shiny?
Yes, yeah. I've always wanted to have a go at weathering vehicles. I never really had the chance to do it. Obviously, the vehicles we do for AW are always in showroom condition. But a little while back, I was wandering around and I saw in their yard an old shunter. And it was lying in the corner of the yard, not been used for years. And it was very heavily weathered. So I took a load of photographs of that. Because I've got lots of bits lying about that weren't used in actual builds, I managed to scratch build this shunter and heavily weather it, and we actually got a bronze at Telford for it last year. So I was quite pleased with that. The first competition I'd entered.
Oh, well done.
So yeah, it's the first chance I've had to do but that's my own personal model. It isn't one that's on display at Jenks.
Okay. Well done for that. Is it something that you always put down as competition entries? Do you try and enter the competitions when you go to Telford?
No, that's the first competition I have ever entered. I'm entering a few 3 weeks' time at Gaydon, but again, that's something I haven't done in the past. It's the first time I'll have been to this show.
Oh, right. Okay. I think I've been probably 4 years ago, and lots of very interesting trucks and very interesting people who like their trucks. Is that the one where the Swindon Remote Control Club go to? And they have a whole room set up dedicated just to driving their trucks around like a road map?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's not a show that I've been to before, so
if it is, it's fantastic. You know, those play mats you used to get as kids, and they had the map of the city on it. Roundabouts and things like that. Yeah. Well, it was like that, but times it by 20, and it's about 30 foot square, and they just have remote control trucks driving around. With the lights on and everything else. They had cranes and diggers and all sorts of stuff. It's quite fun. I think they had, last time I was there, police cars driving around trying to pull over the other trucks.
Excellent. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was about getting that pristine effect. Have you got, because obviously one of the things that puts people off cars or trucks in those sort of circumstances is the paintwork and getting it to look like it's meant to. Have you got any tips or anything for people if they want to go down that road, how they should or what things they should look out for or avoid, and etc.?
It's just preparation of the surface really before you put your final spray on. I actually get the paint that they use on the trucks themselves from the depot at AW. So if somebody comes up to me and says that's not the right shade, I can say, well, it's the same shade that's on the actual trucks. For the tractor units themselves, I just decant the aerosol into a airbrush and spray it from there. But if I'm doing a large side like a trailer or something, I will just do it straight from the can. But so long as the surface is prepared and ready and primed properly, we shouldn't have too much of a trouble.
When you say prepared, do you mean polished, flat?
Yes, lots of sanding and flatting, yes.
So one of the things that I've heard that people say that if you have a blemish or a bump or something, that thing will get enlarged by any paint you try and put on there, especially gloss and things. You'll be able to see it quite easily.
Yeah, it's always better to find it in the primer stage and keep working at it there and make sure that's pristine before you put the top coat on. As far as I'm concerned, that's the way it works for me. I'm not going to say it works for everybody, but I just seem to find my way of doing it, and it works for me. Perhaps the fact we're working on a bigger area makes it easier to see any blemishes and makes them easier to get rid of. I'm not sure.
How about fingerprints and things like that? Do you suffer from?
Oh, I'm good at fingerprints.
Oh, good.
In fact, my son bought me a fingerprint badge for the front of my workshop apron. A demerit badge, I think he called it. It's like a Scout's merit badge, but the opposite.
Oh, like a wooden spoon award.
Something of that nature. Yes, I have sanded several fingerprints out in the past.
So if you see Ian's kits in the future, then just try and play Spot the Fingerprint. I'm sure you appreciate it. Well, speaking of competitions, you are incredibly famous, and I'm sure you have problems fighting off people at your door because you are the winner of last year's Nutshell competition that we had. What was the trophy called? Nuts Award. There you go.
Nuts Award.
That's right. And the golden nut. So,
Yes.
Tell us about that build, because that also featured a vehicle too, didn't it?
Yeah, it was just, I was working on the Nutshell theme and just thought about the hobby in a nutshell and went with that. And it's quite a simple build, really. It's just a doll's house toy car. They're all 1/12 scale doll's house items put into a nutshell, basically. So it was quite a simple build, really.
See, I thought that doll's house toy car.
No, I didn't think of that.
Was that polished and shiny and anything else?
It was breathed on a little bit before it went in the box. Yeah, it was before it went into the shell, I should say.
Yeah. It had an aerosol as well and an airfix kit. So there was the aerosol also from a doll's house. Was that scratch built?
I'm afraid to say it was all part of the same doll's house kit.
Are you telling me there's a doll's house kit with a model kit in it?
There is indeed.
No. No, there's not.
Genius!
It did come flat pack. I did have to actually put it together, but yeah.
And just for those that can't see what we're doing right now, Malcolm is Googling. Desperately Googling. Really? I've got to see this.
How did you? Where did you buy this thing from?
Can't remember how I came across it. I think I was looking for small images of Airfix kit boxes to actually print one out and produce one, and then somehow it came across the feed, and I thought that'll just do the job.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm just doing a quick search for dollhouse model kits and hobbies, and of course it's just chucking up a load of dollhouse stuff. So that's something I'll have to look into, because that's quite exciting. We just did a build where I've got a crate with model kits in it, and what I did is I used a magazine that had been showing the new releases, and I just cut out from that magazine the front of the kit boxes and stuck them on like a box thing, just to get a scale model kit. So if you're telling me those exist, I'm quite excited. I wonder if they got the license to use those too.
It's not going down that road.
No, and it's not for me to question.
No,
but I'm certainly going to find out, and if I can find the link, or Ian can remember by the time this podcast goes out, I would definitely put it on there, because that's quite fun. Do they have do they have other toys as well?
Yeah, I think it must be for a nursery type or kiddie's bedroom type setup. So there was lots of various toys.
Yeah, and aerosols. The kiddie's bedroom.
I don't think it was an aerosol. I think it was a pot of glue.
Right. Oh, this is now just totally distracting me now. But I know that you can get like workbenches and stuff in that sort of scale.
While Malcolm's busy Googling, what I will say is when you were thinking of this idea, were there other ideas in which you didn't do, or maybe you wish you had done?
Oh, there was a couple of ideas. Obviously, I was thinking of something along a small truck. So if we could find something where I could have done a small truck dial within the nutshell. And the other one my wife suggested was an ice cream van, which those of us who know me well will know that I'm partial to the odd ice cream or two. Yes,
just a bit.
I've seen that, yeah. So what was it about the Walnut build that caught your imagination then? What was it sparked you to enter?
It's something different, something I haven't done before. So maybe just a break away from the lorries at the time.
Yeah, certainly something different. Have you still got that desire to do something different? Have you thought about entering the tarp build?
Yeah. There's some thoughts running around for the tarp build. There's two ideas. I'll not go into them too deeply, but the first one obviously is a traditional truck with a tarp load. But I have a second idea, which we'll see what comes to fruition.
Oh, is it a secret? Is it a secret?
Yeah. Well, you see, you've got to remember, now the golden nut's been given out, he's after the golden tarp. Yeah, it's the golden tarp award. Oh, you God, yeah. I've actually, I went to bed last night because we at the time we were recording this, the day before, we'd had a conversation with someone else about the tarp award. And I was confronted with the reality that I would have to design and make another award. So I went to bed thinking about that. Didn't sleep very well. So yes, I have an idea of what to do for the Golden Tarp Award.
Have you thought about doing like a 1/24 scale truck with a huge tarp on the back? Is that
Yes, in the old days, they were all flatbed trucks with roped and sheeted. So that was the idea, doing a traditional roped and sheeted load. So,
well, we also talked about the difference between a tilt and a tarp as well. You know, the difference between those two things.
Yeah, of course, we have tote liner trucks these days as well, which are all tarp sided, and there's plenty of possibilities within the truck realms to that.
Would you say that if the material on the side of a truck has been bespoke made for that truck, would that still be a tarp?
Possibly not when you're talking about a tote liner, but certainly the old-fashioned roped and sheeted vehicles.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I hadn't realised before that there might be some concern about what a tarp is, and the lines drawn between what a tarp is and what a tilt is, and I'm sure we're gonna explore that a bit more.
I think, to be honest, just to put some meat on the bones for Ian, we had a conversation with Chris from Farnborough IPMS. There'd been some discussions about tarps and what constitutes a tarp, and yes, there's been quite a lot of discussion. And after the conversation we had with Chris, I am starting to wonder whether there's going to be some controversy, because you know what modelers are like when they're in a room. There will be discussions that doesn't qualify, and it's going to be interesting. Luckily, that's not for us to decide. The chief judge will do that. Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to see your entry in. It's going to be awesome. It'd be funny if you had like a bill come up that they wanted a tarp load at the back.
No, there can't be many bills that would have go back as far as the old-fashioned loads of that nature. Everything tends to be pre-packaged and just bunged on the back of vehicles these days.
Bunged on the back, yes, I guess so. So, do you still have an interest in the rally world?
Yes, the Ford World Rally team test their cars 2 or 3 miles away from my house in Greystoke Forest. So up until, unfortunately, as you know, I was poorly a little while back. Up until then, I was a fairly regular helper up at the test site.
Okay.
So, we're still on good terms with most of the current top drivers. So it's nice to still have that contact.
Yes.
Kind of fell into rally hospitality by accident. A lot of these things happen by accident. I was a licensee. I was steward of Pirelli's club at the factory in Carlisle, their social club. And Subaru's caterers let them down. So they asked me if I could go and cater for them up at the forest that they were helping out on. And I did that for a couple of days. And basically got the job. The people that were supposed to do it went asked back again, and I did it for the next 15 odd years around the UK. So maybe 6 or 7 weeks a year.
Gosh, so do you follow the rallies through the country as well, or do you only do it online?
No, I just do it online these days. I can watch a rally car. There's a couple of events that are actually within the forest complex to us, so we can see the cars go past.
Have you built any rally cars recently?
Not recently. I have something in the region of 40 odd in the stash. A lot of them are multiples of the same. I've probably got about a dozen Subarus and there is probably about 20. No, sorry, that's maybe an exaggeration what we got there. About 15 various Fords, and the plan is I've got all the different decals. So the plan eventually is to build the cars of the vehicles of the guys that I've fed over the years. So people like Colin McRae, Richard Burns, Peter Solberg, Ott Tanak, a lot of the guys that I've worked with over the years. So that's the plan.
So now you've fallen into the trap of dioramas. Would I assume that when you do a particular car for a particular driver, that you're going to put maybe a dish that they would particularly associated with them through your career?
Now you're pushing the envelope a little bit. Perhaps not. Yeah, people always say about rally cars being dirty, but they're actually only dirty on the stage. It's not in the manufacturer's interest to have them looking dirty all the time, because they've got sponsors splattered all over them. So as soon as they come in, the first thing after service is they get washed.
Yeah, so only a small amount of time of their existence is spent dirty, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they've got to show off those expensive sponsors.
Yes.
They want their money's worth. They don't want to cover in mud.
With the kits you've got, I would assume you sort of looked through them as you've got them over the years. Is there going to be much adaptation that you need to do for the particular cars you want to show, or are the kits pretty accurate?
The kits are fairly accurate. The only adaptations I'm really going to have to make is there's one or two that are in gravel spec that I need to have in tarmac spec, because that's the only decals I could get for that particular driver. Right. So that means that they will have a different wheel on, and the suspension will be dropped a little bit. That's the only thing we have to do. That's fairly easy, and some of the manufacturers actually supply conversion kits as well. So
cool.
I found it. Right. So on Etsy, there's Doll's House Miniatures, it's called, and you can buy a set of tins of model paint and airfix kits and a little car as well. That is what
my secret's out.
Yes. Well, that's brilliant. I'm very interested in those. I'm gonna have to look at more stuff like this
in the shopping basket. Ba-ding!
Ching! They're gonna, because it's an Etsy. This lady here, Jew's Miniatures from Bolton, she's going to have suddenly loads and loads of orders because there is awesome stuff on her Etsy shop. Sorry, we'll be looking at it while I'm recording. That's. I'm going to put a link up on there for fun.
I think after we did just discussing some commission.
Yeah, drop her a message.
Affiliate link.
Just drop her a message and say, "Do you know who I am?"
and the rest.
And the rest, yeah, definitely.
So it was something we talked about at the very top of the show, but your model making career, as it were, your model making hobby, where did it start and how did it start?
I'm almost certain I must have got an Airfix kit at some point to Christmas or something and built that. But really, as I said, I was working away from home in my early 20s, and I walked past this model shop and saw a Formula One car and thought, well, I'll have a go at that. It was something to do when I was in a strange town. I built that, hand painted it. It was all right. And I bought a couple of rally cars and did those as well. But really, that was it. And as I say, right up until maybe my early 40s, when I started seriously thinking about building the rally cars of the drivers that I've worked with. And that's when I really started looking seriously into modelling and looking it up online, and really got into the modelling society, meeting up with like you guys and other people with similar interest, and starting to research it a bit more, so that I got a better finish and better results with what I was doing. I even managed to pick up the original kit that picked it up at the Scale Model World at the kit swap a few years back. I really plan on revisiting my very first model.
I'm guessing the original didn't make it.
No, I was hoping that I would come across it in my dad's loft, but that never happened. So unfortunately, we never found the original.
Well, that's good that you remember what kit it was. That's great. My first kit ever was either a Tomcat, a blue one, or it was a Westland Whirlwind, but I can't remember what it was. I have to go out and look properly. But my memory's so bad that I wouldn't remember. But it's nice that you have that kit that you cut your teeth or cut your teeth or got that spark from. You were saying that you as you were developing your hobby, you started to involve yourself with groups and things like that. Do you find it's quite a social hobby?
I was never a big fan of hangouts and such like. It's only recently I've really started, when I've come back after my illness, this past year, that I've really started going into hangouts. And that's probably because I know those people better from meeting them at Telford and such like. So I feel a little bit more confident going into them now. So yeah. But in the past, it was just a case of watching lots and lots of YouTube videos and seeing what everybody else was up to. Nobody in particular, just going through all of the various videos to see what's what.
I think that's true of a lot of models, isn't it? They're looking for extra techniques and tips and things. They'll start with YouTube and Facebook, and then they'll develop it, from there. Did you ever have any airbrush lessons or anything like that?
No. In fact, I'm still not brilliant at airbrushing, I must admit. But again, it's just going over various YouTube tutorials and hoping that it works out in the end,
With your scratch building, that are you a gatherer of tools? Well, I just use what I've got, and I not really too fussed about tools.
Are you asking to see Ian's chopper?
No, I wasn't. I was going to ask. That was going to be my next question. Has he got a chopper, or what does he use to cut his styrene? But
I've got a very basic guillotine type chopper and a razor saw and a selection of assorted basic hand tools. Really, I've nothing exotic. I did a little build for one of the medics on the rally team a little while back. He has a mini moke which I assembled for him because he was struggling with it. He wanted his actual vehicle built as a model, and it was a resin model, and he was struggling with it. And in return, I got a load of ex-surgical scalpels and tweezers and various bits that would be useful for us. That were no longer of use to them in the operating theatre. So clamps and stuff like
gloves, things like that.
No, basically the stuff that was past its shelf life in the operating theatre. So clamps and
they might have been used for all sorts of different things before you got them.
I didn't bear thinking about, to be honest.
Yes.
But yeah,
possibly. I'm sure they've been cleaned. So it's fine.
So just to clarify, that is a razor saw there, not a bone saw.
it is a razor saw, yes.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
You've got a pair of separators there, have you?
I just noticed the laughing gas behind you. Is that past its shelf date?
I think that might be personal use.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's what happens, isn't it? You need tools for all sorts of different tiny things. And 9 times out of 10, the tools that you got are not specifically modelling tools. And that's only because they got the word modelling on them usually. My tweezers that I use are electricians' tweezers. Ian's got his bone saws and stuff like that.
It does beg a question, though, because obviously we pop into all sorts of stores. I mean, Ian goes into pet stores for logs and bits and pieces. I wonder whether there is a surgeon out there who is a model maker who wanders around the theatre going, "Oh, do you know what? That is not going in the bin. I can use that."
Oh, God. This goldstone would make a fantastic brick.
Well, if you're out there listening and you're a surgeon, drop us an email. What fun things you've picked up in the operating theatre and repurposed. Try not to be too gory, though.
I was listening to one of the other podcasts, and I apologise which one it was. I can't remember. And they were talking about there was a lot of dentists were model makers because of that fine skills that required. Did you hear that one too?
Yes, I did. And I forget who it was. I think it was a Plastic Posse, but I'm not sure. But I do know of a couple of modelers that are dentists, and they do use dentistry tools.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, dentistry tools, certainly. Yeah, little mirrors and things. You see underneath the aircraft and inspect the cockpit with a little mirror. A
mirror for looking underneath something wouldn't be worth you using because you don't paint it anyway. So
no, I would if someone used a mirror on it though. They knew they were coming in with that kind of head torch, mirror, looking at it like a dentist. I hate it when the dentists say, like, oh, have you been flossing? It's like, yeah, I bloody have.
Rooting away in your mouth, they say to you, have you been on holiday recently? It's like, anyway, off the tangent. Well, Ian, thank you so much for sharing some of your skills with us. It's always fascinating to talk to you, and I must admit the little shunter you did recently, that was fantastic to watch. You put that together, and I'm so pleased it was recognised because it was an awesome build. I did like it.
I think that's it then, Ian. Have you got any questions for us?
No, I think we've covered it all fairly well, thank you.
Okay, so I guess we should let you go back under the tarp where we found you.
Yeah, we'll shut the door on the way out. Thanks for letting us in the shed, and we'll speak to you soon.
Right, thanks very much.
Cheers, Ian. Take care,
Bye.
mate. Mooseroo Cup, the Mooseroo Cup. Let's talk about the Mooseroo Cup. Boom!
Woohoo! Mooseroo update, excellent. Oh well, I'm just absolutely amazed and raring to go because this year it will be myself taking on the world, but it'll be fine. The update is very simple. We don't have an update because they haven't told us what we're doing yet. But the idea of telling you now is because we did have a discussion the other night, didn't we, about the Mooseroo build. We were wondering what devilish things the committee and the Mooseroo Wrangler would come up with. And I wanted to lay it out there that I think it's going to be something to do with water.
Oh, like a submarine or a ship?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I just got something in my waters. Just got that feeling. I think he's going to go water because it would be a logical step. In this episode, we're not trying to bribe the Mooseroo Wrangler in any way, shape or form, or coerce them, in fact, in any way, shape or form.
Would you be up for that?
Water? Oh, yeah, I'm always up for a bit of water.
A bit of shippage?
Oh, shippage? Well, you could do that. There's lots of things going in water.
Bit of maritime?
Oh, it could be anything. Could be something of a landing vehicle.
Could be. Yeah. What makes you say that? Just a whim?
Do you know what? I just woke up one night in the middle of the night and my wife said, what on earth's up with you? And I said, they're going to do ships. Don't let me do it.
Well, knowing you'll call them up and say, oh, tell you what, I'll do 6.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it will be something that none of us had thought of. It'll be something that none of us had even considered. And it'll be a completely left field, but very exciting project.
The question on every listener's mind is, does James know something or is he playing mind games?
Maybe you don't want to do ships, so now you've suggested ships. They're going to hear that and then go, we can't do ships now.
Yeah, could be. I could be doing that. Or it could be the opposite. Or it could be just I had a nightmare. I'm not sure.
There's your Mooseroo update.
I can't wait. Who would have thought that chinchilla husbandry would be so important to a model-making hobby? Just don't forget the sieve.
I love it. Thank you for listening, and we will see you in a few weeks.
Next time, we'll be just making conversation about other subjects relating to this daft hobby of ours. You've been listening to Just Making Conversation with
James Skiffins.
Malcolm Childs.
Follow us on Facebook, where we post photos, updates, and other nonsense when we have the time.
Find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, podcasts from Google, and all the others.
Let us know what you're just making and what your thoughts are on the conversation in this episode.
We would really, really, really like to thank you. So these are the following supporters from buymeacoffee.com/JMC podcast.
Johan Frentzen, Mike's and Shelley. Mark, Harriet, Elliot, Capredi, Adam, Kieran, Dross the Lagoon, Craig Nichols, Elliot, Robert Lane, Dean, Van and Builder Model Kit, Callum from Michael Tunes Podcast, Paint All the Minis Peter, Brad Warren, Tim, Black Rifle, John, Julian, Chuck, Mark, Becca Wahi, Simon, the Jersey Gent, Steve, Lee, Costas, Mark Ray, Neil Twice, Mike, Robert, Andrew, Jujon, Mike, Jeff, Richard, Lynn, Gordon, and 8 others.
I'm glad we did that. I think we've got all the mics this time. There's 2, 3. Well, can all the mics put their hand up, please? Come on. All the mics come forward. If you do show your support, leave your name so we can paint your name on the roll of honour on the tale of the next episode. Oh, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye for me as well. Okay. Janine Melnitz.
Melnitz.
No, Melnitz.
Melnitz?
Melnitz.
Melnitz?
Yes, Janine Melnitz.
I didn't know Melnitz.
Janine Melnitz is a fictional character in the Ghostbusters series. She's the Ghostbusters secretary and confidant, and occasionally a Ghostbuster.
I don't remember being a Ghostbuster.
If you watch the cartoon,
the
real Ghostbusters, so I think she was in that. We got one!